this video, we'll see how to measure rotational speed. It is commonly measured in RPM or rotations per minute. There are various diverse methods to do this. But to keep this video short and crisp, we'll be focusing on two methods, the tachogenerator method and the optical sensor method. Then we'll also tinker around with the optical sensor method and we'll modify it such that it's able to meet a special requirement. In doing this, we'll also be able to learn about the importance of a special digital code. As the first step, I have made a setup that helps me change the direction and speed of the wheel. Sparing the details for some other video, we'll just look at the user interface because this will help us to test our methods. Let me power it on using a 9V battery. So this knob helps to change the rotation speed of the wheel. And this switch helps to toggle the direction of rotation of the wheel. Also, these 4 wires provide a 5V supply to 2 devices. We'll need them later in the video. For making the tachogenerator, I have used an old motor salvaged from a toy. Yes, a motor can work as a generator if we provide mechanical input on the shaft and connect an electrical load on its electrical side. Hence, a more appropriate name would be to call it a DC machine, since it can work both as a motor and a generator. If you look inside such a permanent magnet DC machine, you will find a pair of magnets of opposite polarity creating a magnetic field in the stator, and on the rotor side we have copper coils called armature coils, and the ends of these coils are connected to a split ring which makes contact with these carbon brushes. This combination is called commutator, and the purpose of commutator is to convert AC to DC or DC to AC appropriately in the case of generator and motor respectively. For a deeper understanding, look at this diagram. There are 2 poles as we saw in our machine which generate a magnetic field B. The number of poles can be some even number like 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. Poles always occur in pair. For simplicity, let's stick to 2 poles. When a coil rotates in this magnetic field, a sinusoidal voltage is generated across its terminals. This is given by Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. In a DC generator, due to the combined effect of having a distributed winding and commutator, we get a DC voltage output at its electrical terminals. This voltage is generated in the coil even when running as a motor. For this reason, it is also called as back EMF. And for a given PMDC motor, this back EMF is proportional to the speed of the motor. EB is proportional to N. EB is equal to KTN, where KT is a constant which is given by the winding fashion, the number of poles, and the strength of the magnet. So tachogenerator is an active transducer. That means that I do not need to connect any external source. I can directly read voltage across its terminals. So let us see how the voltage across the terminals varies as we vary the speed of the motor. Clearly, the output voltage is varying as per the speed, but there is a lot of noise in the reading. There is a high frequency noise that cannot be due to the variation of speed of the motor. The motor speed varies at a very low frequency, but the noise is of high frequency. So to eliminate the noise, I need to use a low pass filter made of R and C components, that is a resistor of 1.5 kilo ohms and a capacitor of 0.1 microfarad gives me a cutoff frequency of 1 kHz. Now let us see if we get any cleaner readings. Clearly the filter has done its task and I am getting around 160 millivolts of reading for full rotation speed of the motor. But the problem is that I do not know the value of kT. So I cannot calculate speed directly from this. I need to do calibration of some sort. So this cannot give me the absolute value of speed. It can only give me a voltage proportional to the speed, and calibration has to be done to get the absolute value of speed. One good thing about the tacho generator method is that it's able to give me the speed as well as the direction of rotation of the motor. Remember this, we'll be thinking about this later in the video. Now coming to the optical sensor method, I have with me these infrared sensor modules. They have an infrared transmitter and a receiver and also a comparator circuit. This knob is used to set the threshold. Let me power it on and see what happens. As you can see in the camera, this infrared transmitter emits a bluish light that is visible to the camera but not to the eyes. This is a passive transducer since I need to power it with an external source. When placed near a reflective surface like this white sheet of paper, the infrared emitted from the transmitter hits the sheet, gets reflected and then hits the receiver. The receiver generates a voltage higher than the threshold set by the potentiometer, and thus the comparator gives a 5 volt output at this pin. When it encounters a dark spot like this one, the output reduces to 0 because the reflection that hits the receiver is not enough to cross the threshold. Hence the comparator gives an output of 0 volts to this pin. Now I have attached a sheet of paper to the wheel which is painted half part white and half part black, such that as the wheel rotates, the IR sensor reading toggles through 0 and 1. As you can see in the waveform, the number of pulses per second changes with the speed of rotation of the motor. Hence, if we are able to count the number of pulses and we have a reference for time, we can calculate the rotation per minute of the wheel. Now coming to the most interesting question in this video. Can we measure direction using this sensor? Let us see. Clearly, the pulses look the same when the motor is rotating clockwise or anti-clockwise. One bit of information is not enough to tell us about the direction of rotation of the wheel. Hence, the obvious solution is to use 2 bits. So I have connected the 2 IR sensors back to back to make 2-bit output, and for the wheel I have made this pattern of 0 0 0 1 1 0 and 1 1. So the inner circle forms the MSB or the most significant bit, and the outer circle forms the LSB or the least significant bit. And when I move the motor counterclockwise or anti-clockwise, it should read 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1, that is 0 1 2 and 3. And if I move the wheel clockwise, then the pattern should read 1 1 1 0 0 1 and 0 0, that is 3 2 1 and 0. So you see, when going counterclockwise or anti-clockwise, it reads 0 1 2 3, and when going clockwise it reads 3 2 1 0. So this pattern will give us the direction of rotation of the motor. So it looks like we have solved the problem of getting the direction of rotation of the motor along with the speed. But let me test it out first before coming to any conclusions. The connections are made such that the central circle or the MSB is connected to the yellow channel. Now let me test it by going anti-clockwise. So looking at the frozen waveform, we see that the sensor readings are 0 0, 0 1, 1 0 and 1 1 when going anti-clockwise. So it looks like the sensor is working. But if we take a closer look at this, we'll see that when the sensors have to go from 0 1 to 1 0, there is suddenly a change of 2 bits at the same moment. Practically, it is not possible that both the bits will change at the exact same moment. There will be a time when the lower bit, the LSB, has gone from 1 to 0, but the MSB might still be read as 0. So we'll go from a state of 0 1 to 0 0 and then 1 0. So there will be a noise in between the readings because both the bits cannot change at the exact same moment. Obviously, the same problem will occur for clockwise movement as well. So the problem is that 2 bits are changing at the exact same moment. What if I could have a pattern in which only 1 bit changes at a time? And that pattern is called gray code. So now I have modified the pattern on the disk such that only 1 bit changes at a time. It goes from 0 0 to 0 1 to 1 1 to 1 0 when the motor is rotating anti-clockwise, and the reverse pattern is followed when it's rotating clockwise. Now this is following gray code, and we should not have the problem of 2 bits changing at the same time. Looking at the pattern for anti-clockwise rotation, we see it goes from 0 0 to 0 1 to 1 1 to 1 0, that is 0, 1, 3 and 2. This is the gray code for 2 bits. And as we can see, there is no problem of 2 bits be trying to change at the same time. Hence, practically this will work without giving any noise at the transition. I'll also take a look at clockwise rotation of the wheel. Looking at the output for clockwise rotation, we see that the readings are 0 0, 1 0, 1 1 and 0 1, that is 0, 2, 3, 1, which is reverse of 0 1 3 2. The device which we just made is known as quadrature encoder. It can tell us about the speed, the direction of the rotation, and also it can tell us how many steps we have moved and in what direction. So it can also work for position tracking. The word quadrature comes from the fact that if you look at the pattern on the inner and the outer circle, you see we get 0 0, 0 1, 1 1 and 1 0. It looks like this waveform and this waveform have a phase shift of 90 degrees. These quadrature encoders find applications in various places such as this knob. I hope you enjoyed this video.